Hey, what's up everybody? This is Robert1D4, 2Rs, 2Bs, as always, from gundam.tk, and here today, forget about the models. This is probably the best bit of news for me as a Gundam collector that I've gotten in, 3 years? And that's because, as you can see on the right here, we have the Gunpla Taizenshu, which basically means it collects every single Gundam model and puts it together into this one massive catalog that shows you every model that has ever been produced and is probably the greatest resource any collector can have. So for me, just to go into this a little bit, whenever I was watching a show like, let's say, Gundam X, I was always curious to see, well, which kits were released, what order were they released in, etc. And you can find new stuff online. New kits, there's a million good people doing websites, DeLong, etc. But for old stuff, this is pretty much the only resource for you to go back and take a good look and see what kind of kits came out for some of these older series. Now, why am I so excited? Because this is the 2010 version, and on the left I have the 2007 version, and this was the last version to come out. So in 3 years they have added a lot of kits, and in the meantime they had the 2008 yearbook, and this for me is a waste of time because it adds to the 2007, but it's not the same format. It doesn't give you the same information. You have to keep 2 books around, but now this is going to be the only book that I need to keep around. Now this is pretty ridiculous, but of course this is Gunpla's 30th anniversary, and in this magazine, or in this catalog, you've got over 930 different Gundam plastic models. If you can remember them all, you are awesome. Now for anybody who's bought one of these before, don't expect your world to be changed because many of the pages are reproduced identical to the 2007 version. It's just the fact that some things that were big in the old version have now been reduced in size because they're not so important, and of course anything that's been released in the last 3 years gets a lot of importance. So when you crack it open, they have some stuff and they talk about this and that, and they talk about the 30th anniversary, and right at the front you're going to get the real grade Gundam, the 1/48th mega size model, and the beginning Gundam, and those ones sort of don't fit into any of the established categories before we get in to the things that matter. And they start the magazine off not with Master Grade or anything, but with the 00 series. So it starts with the 1/44ths and goes from there. Still with the high grade 1/44ths after the variations, it gets into the movie kits with the Quanta, the Zabanya, the Harut, and that's it. They couldn't bother to put in Raphael. That's a little chintzy. But anyway, it's got some first grade stuff, and then they move into the 1/100ths before wrapping up at the back with the 1/60th Exia, and that pretty much wraps up the 00 section. They also include some paint variations. Here we've got the designer color versions of the kits, and these are only they're going to fit 4 to a page because they don't really matter. And there we've got Exia before moving on to the thing that really matters, the master grades. Now most new master grades, of course, are going to get something like a full page here. Now, but then again, if they're just repaints or remakes, here we've got, Lucas's Strike, etc. It's only going to get a half page because it's not really that important. So we've got the Zaku Mine Layers, it moves on. The Launcher's Sword Strike gets half a page. The Gelgoog is just a color variation of Char, so half a page there. The Musha Gundam, they've also got the special version down here, but that only gets a tiny bit of a page. Some of them, like Force Impulse, pretty popular, so they get a 2-page spread, as does the Master Grade 2.0, and things like Infinite Justice, etc. Then once we move past the newest Master Grades, like the O and the Death Scythe, you're going to get back here, they've got some Pro Shop exclusives, which they didn't used to include. But anyway, then you're going to get back into anybody who's got the 2007. This is pretty much identical. It just starts at the beginning in 1995 and goes through all the master grades here, 2 to a page, until they wrap up and come out with the new version of the Zaku 2, which was at the beginning of the master grade section. Probably my biggest complaint about this book compared to the 2007 version is that when you look at that Wing Gundam, it is gorgeous. And the reason is because that is a promo piece and it's painted and lined by a professional. Now in the 2007 one of the things I loved about it is that it showed all of the kits in their unaltered, straight out of the box condition, which means you can only make them better. So here it shows you that, and it does indicate that this one is painted. However, you've got to be careful, and especially the older stuff like First Gundam, etc., they all look really good in this book, and that's because they're painted by pros. But I would have preferred if the publishers had continued to go with only the unpainted, uninked, untouched up photos instead of doing these beautiful promo pieces that you can already see all over the web. After the master grades though, it's time for the perfect grades, and we actually have new ones to show off for a change, which is fantastic. So here you've got the 00 riser, and they show it looking all cool, it's GN drives, etc. It gets 4 pages. Here we've got the O riser, and on the back they show it with the clear parts, which were not included. You had to order those in. Then moving on, we're going to get a look at the Gundam Astray red frame, which is looking awesome, including that inner frame. Very tempting, and then we just get back into the old perfect grades, which I'm sure you all know by heart by now. After going through 00 master grades, perfect grades, it's time to move on to high grade Universal Century, and here of course the focus is on Unicorn with their splash pages. And the new kits are all going to get a page to themselves. So here we have the Riga Z, the new Gundam, etc. when they were having their real Char's counterattack kick. Anyway, as you scroll through that, you're going to get to the back. And then again, we're going to get 3 to a page or 6 to a page here for the older high-grade Universal Century kits going back to 1999 and the gun cannon. But the new ones, they do get a lot of attention, which is good to see. Something else I enjoyed seeing was things like the high-grade Universal Century sets, where we have the Triple Dome set, Operation V, the Griffius War, Capture of Jaburo, etc., the G3 versus Char's Rick Dome, etc. And then we get into some of these old 144th Gundams, and then you get a bunch of stuff like UC Hard Graph, the ships itself, before moving in to the old classic Gundam models. Now this, if you have the old one, it's just a repeat, and you're going to have the old stuff going back from all the way to 1980, the 144th Gundam in July. And after you go through Gundam, they're going to pretty much go through in chronological order. You've got the variations, X and Z or whatever. After first Gundam, we're going to get the 08th MS Team, 0080 War in the Pocket, and then we're going to get some stuff from Stardust Memory. Moving on, it goes into the Zeta stuff, so then we're going backwards in time to 1985, and boy were there not a lot of double Zeta kits. Anyway, once you get into the double Zeta 144th, there only was 1/100th. Here we've got Sentinel, we've got Char's Counterattack, some 1/144th high grades. These came out in 1990. Anyway, and there was only the 4 main Gundams at the time. We've got F90 here, Silhouette Formula 91, then you've got Gundam F91, and then you're moving into V Gundam, including the 1/60th kits, and then we get into the Another Century. So we've got G Gundam, whole bunch of stuff from Wing, including Endless Waltz and the shiny variations and the clear variations, G Unit, Gundam X, and then you're going to have Turn A. Now, who's the real loser of this book? And one reason why, despite the fact that I already have the fact that I have this 2010, I will be keeping my 2007, and that is because Gundam Seed, wow, was it demoted. It gets like 4 pages to it, whereas before it got like 40. So just to give you an idea, here we have the 1/100th Legend Gundam, and it gets a full page, and here we have the Astray Gold Frame, Amatsu, etc. And what happens to them in the new one? Well, they're demoted to 12 a page. So you can really see that everything that was covered, Seed wasn't covered in incredible detail here in the 2007 version, but that has all been thrown out and replaced with 00, and now Seed is treated no different than Gundam X or something like Zeta. So the old kits, if you're looking to keep these old magazines like the 2007 and the 2004, some of the older kits are going to have big, good write-ups on them, and that's something you lose with the march of time. That's my say on the matter, but what do you think? Do you not need a book if you just go and look up everything online? I mean, there's tons of resources out there, so feel free to mention some down below in the comments. But I know that the 2007 one, ever since I put up my video about that, I had a lot of people contacting me and asking, and you can still get it here, it's just a matter of finding it in a used shop. Every once in a while you see it in a new shop too. But this 2010 one coming out, unless you're a fan of Seed, there's no need to go back to the 2007. This 2010 has absolutely everything except for the Raphael Gundam. But anyway, we'll have that taken care of in 2011, 12, or 13. I hope we don't have a 3-year gap in between, but I can understand that they were getting to a point where the 00 stuff wrapped up, and then that everything works in here, goes perfectly with the 30th anniversary. So forget about all the models I tell you. If you like books and you like collecting and you like knowing everything that exists in a certain field, this has my highest recommendation. So I suggest it just came out this month, so if you have a chance to pick it up now, you won't regret it. Anyway, everybody, Robert184, as always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Like if you do, don't if you don't, subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.